Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Tufnell Park Film Club lockdown chain video. My name is Nigel, and this over here is Wayne. Here he is. So first, we're going to start off with a little announcement. So this is the 35th Film Club at Home video that we've recorded since the pandemic started, and it is going to be the last one. Hooray! So
thank God.
The cinemas open again later this month. Wayne and I have been to Lord Palmerston a couple of times, spoken to them, and we're really hopeful that if the restrictions all end on the 21st of June, as we all hope they will, we will be back doing Film Club shortly after that. So we've got a little bit of a plan about what we might do first. Wayne, if you want to explain.
Okay. So when you say a little after that, it'd probably be the 22nd.
Hopefully the 22nd, yeah.
Is the date we're looking at. So the day after. So what we're going to do for our first screening, we are going to compile a list of all the also ran. So all the films that have lost out in the vote over how long? 5, 7 years, 8 years?
No, how long? I think this is our 9th year.
20 years.
No, this is our 9th year.
Okay. So
2012 we started.
Coming up to the big 1-0. So we're going to get a list of all the films that have lost the vote, and ask you to just choose the 5 films you would like to see, and then we'll narrow it down. Maybe do a second round of votes, but basically put it up for vote what we will be showing as our comeback film, and then resuming the chain the week.
So hopefully a crowd pleaser.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
So yeah, so we'll put in more details in the newsletter in the next few weeks. But yeah, so this is what will hopefully be the last time we do one of these videos. So last time Wayne picked 2001, A Space Odyssey, and I have chosen another classic about alien contact, Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
And a film which probably wouldn't exist without 2001.
No question. Although possibly that's drivel sci-fi films made after 2001.
Perhaps. Yeah. Not as we know them.
Yeah, definitely. So this film came out Christmas 1977, so 6 months or so after Star Wars. So a big year for sci-fi film nerds. Spielberg's follow-up to Jaws. So he pretty much had carte blanche to do whatever he wanted, including filming on the biggest indoor set ever constructed. Spielberg at this time was a total UFO nut, and I think probably in the I think sort of 60s and 70s was sort of like a big time generally for sort of like UFOs in the culture. But he'd been working on this story since before he made Jaws, and it's actually one of the few Spielberg films where he has a writing credit as well. So it's like one of the few films that's written and directed by Steven Spielberg, although quite a few drafts before this one, including one written by Paul Schrader.
Okay, God.
Yep.
I wonder what sort of close encounters that involved.
Yeah, the religious, and more religion and spiritual kind, I think.
Or yeah, maybe.
But kind of Spielberg's aim here was to sort of kind of correct the kind of sort of War of the World sort of narrative where the aliens are basically coming to wipe everybody out, and these are very much like we come in peace type aliens.
No spoilers.
Pardon?
No spoilers, Nigel.
Are we not assuming everybody's seen this film?
Maybe, but probably, yeah. Okay.
Well, okay. Well, just to be clear, then, the Close Encounters of the Third Kind. The third kind does refer to alien contact, so I'm assuming people understand that that's a key part of the film.
Yeah. No, I got that bit. I'm just talking about their intentions.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, sure. So Richard Dreyfuss is the lead. Been in Jaws. Had been, was reading the script as Spielberg was writing it while they were making Jaws, and really lobbied for this role of Roy Neary. Spielberg didn't really want to cast him because he kind of very much had him in mind as sort of just all he knew was sort of like Hooper in Jaws, and couldn't really see him in this other role.
So who did he want to cast?
Steve McQueen.
Oh my god! Because I wrote down these are the top of my notes
Yeah.
when I rewatched it.
Yeah.
RD, he's just a brilliant 70s leading man. You know,
Yeah.
he's got a pot belly,
Yeah.
crappy hair, short,
Yeah.
stocky.
Yeah.
That's what you want in a
Yeah.
leading man.
Yeah. So apparently, Spielberg spoke to McQueen, and this is classic. McQueen told him he couldn't do the role because he was unable to cry on screen. This is beyond him. So Dreyfuss got the role, and Spielberg very, very happy. And Spielberg has spoken about how sort of Richard Dreyfuss is almost like a stand-in, for him in some respects. Terry Garr, the sort of long-suffering wife. Melinda Dillon is the single mother who Neary meets, who's like looking for her with the young son. And then I guess
Elliott.
Yes, definitely. I guess the most interesting bit of casting is the director Francis Truffaut as the French scientist who leads the investigation. And Spielberg wanted to cast Truffaut because sort of like he knew Truffaut a bit and sort of like really kind of like wanted Truffaut had this sort of like childlike sort of sense of wonder. And Truffaut said to him, I'm an actor. I can only play myself. And Spielberg's like, exactly. That'll do. That is what I want. But I think, for this sort of like generation of filmmakers who are obsessed with the French New Wave, probably quite an intimidating person to have on set.
I thought the cast was great.
Yeah.
Again, just downbeat, not non-starry.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's some great anecdotes about Truffaut in the making of doc, which is worth watching. It's on YouTube. I'll put up a link. So Terry Garr was just astounded that all Truffaut wanted to do was just talk about film. That's all he was interested in. And Joe Alves, who's a famous production designer, he'd also been a production designer on Jaws, said he was just waiting. They'd built this, this enormous, the biggest ever set made indoors. And Truffaut, he was just waiting for Truffaut to sort of give him a compliment about this.
Did he get one?
And then, towards the end of the film, they had to make a sort of a small interior of like a motel room, and then Truffaut said, "This is a proper film set." Because obviously,
and what was his attitude to making the film? Did he feel like he was lowering himself, or
no? He absolutely loved it. He loved Spielberg. He liked the whole. He was very, very, and also was very much like, I'm an actor. I'm not gonna kind of get involved. But so Bob Balaban, who plays but this great book, awful cover, terrible reissue. But this is Bob Balaban's production diary. It's great. Spielberg, Truffaut, and me, because obviously he spent a lot of time with Truffaut. So he's got some good Truffaut anecdotes. There's a good bit. This is how Balaban got cast.
And he's kind of unrecognizable at first, isn't he?
Yeah.
It takes a few minutes to work out.
Spielberg tells me about the film. It's about UFOs, he says, but it's not science fiction. He calls it science fact. He's considering me for the part of a French interpreter. He asked me to say a couple of words in French. I won't do the French. He goes, I say this in very rapid French, which I've been rehearsing all morning. Roughly translated, it means, I haven't spoken French in years, and if you give me the job, I don't know if I'll be able to do it. Spielberg is impressed. He doesn't speak French. He thinks I sound great. He likes my work, and I have the job. But there's a lovely bit where what's it? It's like they, basically people think like Truffaut's accent, English. Truffaut can't speak English very well. And there's loads of times where they think he's speaking French, but he's just doing his very, very bad English.
Oh, okay. I didn't get that.
So a few other famous people on the production. John Williams obviously wrote the famous 5-note musical sequence to communicate with the aliens. So the king of 2 notes in Jaws, 5 notes in Close Encounters. And apparently Spielberg was very much like, it can't be a melody. It's almost like a doorbell sound. It is like it's a communication.
But it's pretty. When I was watching it, I was thinking it's pretty great that that little 5-note riff or whatever
Yeah.
you call it has become iconic,
Yeah.
and everyone knows it. If you
Yeah.
just
And
go,
yeah, and I don't know because it's a long time since I've seen Moonraker, but apparently, according to IMDb trivia at least, it features in
yeah, I think
Moonraker.
it's a code on the thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. You're right. There's quite a few references to Disney Pinocchio in the film, and there's a little bit of
Oh,
of if you listen carefully, there's a bit of When You Wish Upon a Star in the score.
okay. What's the Pinocchio stuff?
Well, he Neri's this sort of like man child, isn't he?
Yeah,
So he tries to take his kids, when they let's go to the cinema or let's go and play crazy golf. He's kind of one of his arguments with his kids about making them going to want to watch Pinocchio, and
okay.
very explicit link to 2001: Space Odyssey. Spielberg was like, okay, think about special effects, so he just went down the cast. Sorry, the crew of who worked on 2001, and obviously, as we discussed last time, British production. They were all based in Britain, and
Yeah.
the only person who worked on 2001 who was really based in the US was Douglas Trumbull, who did all the a lot of special effects for 2001. So that's who he hired to do the effects on this. And then the aliens.
Just
Go on, sorry, Wayne.
to stick with 2001.
Yes.
The the base, or whatever you want to call it, the
Yeah.
US base. I mean, that is totally the moon shot on 2001 where they discover the.
Yeah.
And also, I thought the clothes they wearing, they look like droogs,
Right.
part of it, and the shadows of the light behind them, it's like the droogs walking
Yeah.
through a bridge. Or
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And there's a lot of sort of very Spielberg kind of lighting.
Kubrick.
And Kubrick inspired
Yeah.
lighting. Yeah. Just quickly on the aliens.
Mhm.
Original plan for the aliens, and actually I think they actually tried to do this.
Pipe cleaners,
Orangutans
right?
dressed as aliens, and they put them on roller skates.
I'd pay to watch that.
So anyway, didn't work. So most of the aliens you see are little kids in suits, and then there's a sort of a more expressive.
Pipe cleaner. Alien,
There's a pipe cleaner alien, puppet alien,
who
but
they
then there's
probably should have scrapped.
well, apparently Spielberg was like, I just want to show there's all different races of aliens.
Okay.
It's not all just
We've got pipe cleaners.
Yeah, we've got pipe cleaners, we've got orangutans, we've got small
on
children.
roller skates.
But the main one was created by Carlo Rambaldi, who later won Oscars for Alien and who created E.T.
Yeah, you can definitely see E.T.
Definitely. And again, it's got that, it is sort of like, we we come in peace. But yeah, no, I think it's like, I think it stands up really well. The scenes with Dreyfuss and his family are great. Like the famous, the mashed potato scene, which everybody knows, such an iconic image, but it's harrowing. It's
really moving.
Really moving. Yeah.
And I realized I've got that scene and the Richard Dreyfuss scene in Jaws when he's
the Roy Scheider.
What did I say? Richard Dreyfuss. Yeah, Roy Scheider in Jaws when he's sort of.
I love that scene.
Kubrick's very good with just
Spielberg.
mundane
Spielberg.
And Kubrick. Well, Kubrick's not very good.
No, Kubrick's terrible.
Kubrick's
I mean, this is a very big difference. This is a very big difference between 2001 and Close Encounters, and probably why I prefer it is like it's actually about human beings.
Yeah. It's a lot warmer, isn't it?
And, a lot warmer. I did want to. So I saw this few years ago at the cinema with Joe and our friend Jane, who we mentioned last time, and they both very much took against the film, mainly because of Richard Dreyfuss's character.
Leaving the family.
Yeah, and I texted Jane at the weekend. To say, we're going to do Close Encounters. Can you just remind me, what it was that you so this is this.
I mean, it is shocking. I remember when I saw that as a kid and just thought, bloody hell, how can you do that?
Yeah.
What would you do? I look at it now and I'm not quite so
No. Well,
adamant that I
let me
wouldn't.
let me tell you what Jane's response was.
Yeah.
Because she sent me a text, and I don't think this is tongue in cheek. It's hard to tell sometimes with text, but she's like, he
Hard to
abandons
tell with Jane.
he abandons his wife and 3 kids and destroys their home because of his geeky obsession with aliens, and they're never mentioned again. And no one seems bothered by it. I'll be far more into it if he just fucked off to look at the stupid spaceship, and the rest of the film followed Terry Garr as she struggles to re-enter the job market, find affordable childcare, and rebuild the family home after this terrible tragedy.
Fair point.
But I also then looked because I knew so Molly Haskell, who's famous feminist film critic, wrote a biography about Spielberg. So I looked up what she had to say about the film, well, about this element in the film. So this is from her book. The mother, played by Terry Garr, is scoldy and querulous, ignores the ruckus and dismemberment, and the kiss of death, refuses to listen to any discussion of the UFO emergency. If this is the new Hollywood, it is no place for actresses. The normally attractive Garr is coolly deglamorized and subjected to humiliating rejection when later she tries to reignite the couple's romantic fires at the most inopportune moment during the midnight vigil on the highway while everyone's watching the sky expectantly waiting for the UFO. The message is clear. Girls, don't miss your guys when they're playing with their toys. As it happens, at this very time, while filming in Texas, Spielberg had met and became involved with a woman who would return with him to California. Eventually, she would leave him for reasons of incompatibility. She couldn't share his enthusiasm for films. And kind of going to what your point is, what Spielberg has said, like this on the record, he said, I could not make the film now. Once he had his own children, he couldn't have made this film that. But I kind of think of it more as like, it's just an obsession. It's almost out of his control.
Yeah, I agree. My take is same as that. When you see the nuts, to call them.
I'm sorry.
When you see the nuts on the side of the road, playing cards and big sign, he's one of them now.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's crossed over. He's no longer Richard Dreyfuss, the family man.
No.
He is a nut on the side of the road. And I think that's what the film we are emphasizing. Have I pronounced that right?
No, I think what empathy.
Yeah. We share we feel empathy.
Yes.
For one of the nuts on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Who does, he gives up everything to follow his obsession.
Yeah.
And thinking about go on.
Which is kind of out of his control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're meant to admire his actions at all. We're just meant to, this is what he's chosen to do.
And he's a kind of an unsympathetic character. But there's also, there's a brilliant scene with him and Truffaut and Balaban where he's kind of being interviewed, and I can't quite remember what exactly he says, but he's like, just tell me, what is the purpose of this? He's kind of, he doesn't understand why this is happening to him. Yeah, and lots of great moments in the film. The mashed potato thing that we mentioned, the scene where he's in his
I imagine seeing that at the cinema.
Yeah,
that would have been fantastic. Just the audience reaction, because I couldn't remember that scene. We won't go into what happens, but the truck scene, we'll call it. Imagine seeing that at the cinema for the first time. That would have been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and again, even more than 2001. The way they filmed, and again, the technical details, but the way they filmed the spacecraft, the way they were able to kind of get the spacecraft and the humans in shot together, and the way the camera moves and stuff, that was all stuff that was totally new. I think even beyond possibly Star Wars, the way some of the movement happens. And
also I thought I've got the opening of the mothership, very similar to the opening of the Ark of the Covenant,
right?
With the nice ghosts coming out of the clouds. Really, it's almost the same shot, I thought.
And also, there's scenes, there's a bit of an adventure. There's a bit of a, the Truffaut character's a bit of an adventure. There is globetrotting in this film, which I think you sometimes forget. And there is a bit of, the aeroplanes at the beginning.
Yeah, that could be Raiders.
That could be Raiders, and and they were airplanes that have been lost in the Bermuda Triangle. You know, it's very, very much.
I did think the music was funny during that scene when all they're doing is basically checking some old airplanes, but the music's really dramatic.
Yeah, and I thought actually
worked.
on the music, sort of echoes of kind of, you know, North by Northwest as they're sort of scrambling over the mountain at the end as well. So yeah,
and the mothership almost goes into Jaws.
Yes,
which is a nice little touch.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't have much more to say about it.
I'm only going to say Duck Dodgers.
Okay. Yes. Very good.
Always good to see Duck Dodgers.
Maybe we could put a link to that on the website if people want to see the whole thing.
Worth watching.
It is worth watching. So this is it. The end of our, God knows, 18 months.
Seems a lot longer.
It feels longer. Film Club at Home videos. Thank you very much, everybody, for sticking with us, bearing with us. Wayne literally has just discovered, you might think he looks a bit clearer on the video than he has done previously. It's just because he's wiped his camera.
Soap.
It's just wiped his camera for the first time in in 18 months.
Who knew?
And we really look forward to seeing you in person as soon as we can, hopefully next month. So yeah, that is all, folks.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Biddy well.
And beyond.
Watch the skies.
Cut.
That's all, folks.